भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। प्रातः स्मरामि हृदि संस्फुरदात्मतत्त्वम् सच्चित् सुखं परमहं सगतिं तुरीयम् यत् स्वप्न जागर सुषुप्तमभेति नित्यम् तद्ब्रह्म निष्कलमहं न च भूतसङ्गः तपोभिक्षीणपापानां शान्तानां वीतरागिणां मुमुक्षोऽनामपेक्षोऽयम् आत्मबोधो विधीयते। So last class we had a talk on the Guru Purnima, and the essence of the Guru Purnima was it's all based on students' sadhana. If the student is not there, there's no need for the teacher. So student is all important. This is what every teacher is supposed to feel and know. What the qualification of the student should be in this spiritual path. We have done that also. Paripatena pariprashnena seva. I'm just catching it up a little bit. A normal person in this world is asked to not get affected by the world and its problems, objects, emotions, and thoughts, perceptions, not to be affected. So the analysis of why does a person get agitated has to start. The most difficult thing about the spiritual practice is you have to start with yourself. That is the reason the topic is given is the 3 conditions of the mind. It has to start with my own mind. The analysis, the research, and the studies should start from there. Is the world responsible for my agitation? So these types of questions need to be asked to yourself, not necessarily to the world. You will get a trigger from the textbooks and various teachers and gurus, but the questions will start automatically from yourself. Is the world creation of my agitation? At present, a particular disease is going on. Lakhs of people are dying. The repercussions have not yet been felt economically as of yet in any country whatsoever. Jobs are being lost. The family is there. You have to sustain the family, the husband, wife, and the 2 children, or 3, whatever. So you have to sustain them. There's a lot of duties and responsibilities which you have to do from the world, and at present the world is not in a good place to be. So I am agitated. So how is it only a contribution of my mind? Logical. Not correct, but logical approach. Many times, if I see myself, when the world is not there, when the problems are not there around me, when things were still going all right in my life, if I think about that time and say, was I happy then? Then at that particular moment of time, there were certain situations which were perfectly all right. There were no problems. But I was sitting on my sofa, relaxing under an AC, enjoying, and yet, even when the situations are at present not there outside that can disturb me, my mind yet starts thinking about certain events which has happened years and years and years ago. It can go right from your childhood to onwards. So even when the situations were all right, still my mind has a tendency to get disturbed. Therefore, I cannot say that it is the external situations that disturbed my mind. Second view of it is the same situations and the same parameters of this problem going on in everybody's life. In everybody's life, everybody is going through the same problem of the external situation, what's happening. Yet, if I analyze properly, I see that there are certain people who are affected by this, and there are other lot of people who are not affected at all. So situation being the same, calamities being the same, problems being the same, relationships being the same, how is it that one person gets affected more perhaps than the other? So this is the way we inquire and question and come to a realization that it depends on not the external situations and circumstances, but how my mind is reacting to those situations and circumstances. So Vedanta puts forward this theory that it is your mind that agitates or is agitating. It is never the external situations or circumstances. May be there, may not be there. Yet the mind can find reasons to get agitated. So spirituality belongs to this criteria of, first of all, agreeing to a possibility that yes, I am at fault. You start, I can't correct the world. Impossible. There was a king who looked in his streets. He was walking and he didn't wear any slippers. So he was just walking there, and some thorns and stones pricked his legs. So he came to the kingdom and he gave an order that whole kingdom would be rolled in carpet, so that wherever he walks, he should not get hurt. One of the wise ministers told him, "Excuse me, sir, why don't you wear chappals?" The change is always subjective. So the first thing, the first qualification of a student here is, do you believe you can be better than what you were yesterday? It is this belief system that is the most important. Quite a lot of people are non-believers. When I say non-believers, non-believers means they may understand, or they may at least go to an idol, they may go to temples and churches and mosques, they may live continuously in devotion and yet tremendously fearful of everything that happens, and the faith will not be there to change themselves. They still think God will change it. Some other extremity, some other personality is having the responsibility to change me. I can't do it myself. So these we call as the non-believers. You have to have belief in your own self. And that belief only comes when you go through a particular level of self-discipline. If you discipline yourself, the belief will automatically come. And this belief, how it comes, don't listen to other people. Other people in the sense of negative thoughts and analysis of other people, don't listen. Don't you know who you are? And don't you know how you are going to achieve what you want to achieve? Of course we do. The problem is the belief is not there in himself. There's this beautiful movie called Terry Fox. I've mentioned this many times. This Terry Fox had a problem with his right leg and he had gone through cancer. So the whole leg was made up of alloy, a steel alloy. And he decided to take a run all around Canada to get some money so that he can put the money into cancer research. So when he starts his run, limping on one leg, on one good leg, says the commentator, there's this small boy who comes by the side and he says, Terry, how much you are going to run? And he said, it's 3,502 miles. So the boy looked at Terry Fox and said, can you do it? He said, yes, of course. 1 mile at a time. This is the belief. When you are undertaking any project in your life for anything, never think from the point of view of years. Think about what you can do today. Because the conditioning of the world, the conditioning of wrong knowledge is such that all this knowledge will bind you and say, this is the way you have to live. You can't better this. This is what it is. So then they call destiny and name, all names, jargons, basically to say that this much you can do, you can't do more than that. And that thought is enough. Absolutely enough. Once you have that thought, you're finished. An elephant was tied, a big elephant was tied in a tent with a rope and pegged to a ground, just a small peg. So a child and the father were visiting that elephant, they're going to the circus. And the child looked at the father and said, Dad, I have one question. So the father said, yes, beta, what is it? This elephant is so big and the rope is so thin and the peg is just this much in the ground. Can't he just remove it? So the father thought it's a good question because it's a mighty elephant. So he went and asked the mouth, ऐसा कैसा बांध के रखा है? How did you tie this? So he said, no, sir. What happened was when it was a calf, it was a baby elephant. At that time, we had tied this rope and pegged it to the ground. And at that time, it struggled a lot to get out, but it didn't have strength enough to remove the whole thing. So after a lot of struggle, it gave up and understood that it can't remove the peg. Now the elephant is grown into a giant monster, a being. But the thought is, it can't remove the peg. Therefore, it doesn't try. This is what belief systems do to you. It finishes you off. It puts you in a preconditioned notion of this much you can do, this much. So the whole subject of Vedanta, in fact, all spirituality, is based on only breaking these so-called compartments and saying, listen, you can do much, much more. You know what? A lady is supposed to do only this much. A man is supposed to do only this much. Children are so. We build boundaries everywhere and we expect them or people living in the boundary to grow out of the boundary. It's impossible. To get the problem solved, you have to think out of the box. So this is where the belief system, and once you start believing, you start introspecting. Till now, X amount of years, I have lived my life. Tick. Yes. How I have lived my life? Well, I have lived with my family and therefore I am a grahastha. If I am a grahastha, then I have responsibilities for my family. If I have responsibilities for my family, I will go through agitation and stress because my happiness is codependent on every relationship I'm going through in my life. This is a belief. An intelligent way is This is where I am at present. I got agitated for quite a while now. Henceforth, I don't want to be agitated, because each and every breath of mine is very, very precious and valuable, and I'm not going to waste my breath on anything which is non-essential, which is not important to grow in my life. So I'm not going to do that. So the next focus is, how can I improve? All the responsibilities I need to do, yes, you have to do it. There's nothing wrong in that. But can you do with a free mind? Can you do without any agitation, stress or tension or depression or nervous breakdown? I don't know. I don't see anybody doing like that. But when you read Vedanta treatise, when you listen to Swami Parthasarthi, Chinmayananda, Ramana Maharishi, Ram Tirtha, Paramahamsa, Vivekananda, all these giants, it seems that they may be knowing a trick or two of how not to get agitated. Yes, they know. Shut off the noise from outside. Stop listening to people who pull you down in any way, whatever relationship they are around you. Just stop it. Dive introvert. Dive within. When you dive within, you understand you are the self, that power which functions through the body. Sometimes the body pains, sometimes the body does not. It's all right. This is a physical body, it will go through its rigors. So don't take it too seriously. Number one. Mind is full of emotions, likes and dislikes, impulses, moods. We have defined that. Intellect also we have defined. Reasoning, judging, discriminating, demarcating. We have defined the qualities of the mind. Everything is nothing but the mind. The whole fight in our life is how to control this reactive attitudes of the mind, which constantly reacts to the world, and stop the reaction and think proactively of how I should live in my world, because my world is different from yours and different from everybody else. When you understand that, for the first time in your life, you are not thinking by your mind, you are thinking of your mind. Now, the mind which was so-called subject in the world and the objects were the world, now the same mind has become the subject for you. You are cutting open and studying all the aspects of the mind. So the Shastras say there are 3 conditions of the mind. It is broadly divided, so it's not exhaustive. So if you come tomorrow and tell me, no sir, there is a 4th condition, there may be 5th, 6th and 1000th also. But generally this is divided into 3 conditions. The first condition of the mind is called unstable. It's an unstable mind. Imagine an ice cream cone. I don't know about you, but I love ice cream. So if you see a cone somewhere, you imagine that you are holding the cone at the base, right? So the base is hold on and the ice cream shape is like this. You're holding onto it. And the ice cream cone will stand in the same position until the hold is there. When you remove the hold, it falls down. Then you need again to go back and hold it. This is called unstable. It needs constantly an external support to hold its personality. Similarly, human beings are there who constantly need support for some reason or the other, because when that support system is not there, they collapse. I am happy. Excellent. Congratulations. Why are you happy? I don't know. I'm just happy. It has anything to do with relations? No. Money? No. Value systems? No. I'm just happy. I'm just happy to be alive. Hardly anybody. I am happy because so and so things are happening. I am happy because this person or that person is happy. My happiness is always and always and always dependent on somebody else or something else which belongs to the world. Now the problem is whatever belongs to the world is susceptible to change. So my happiness is dependent on certain objects which goes on changing. My happiness goes on certain perceptions which goes on changing. My happiness is dependent on some people around, my son, my daughter, my brother, my sister, my children, my father, my mother, my in-laws, my dog, my cat, my maid, somebody in the world. If they are happy, I am happy. Impossible situation. Therefore, moral of the story, we are never happy. This is the condition. We need, so 10 people, 10 things are all right. But if one thing is not all right, you are upset. The mind does never understand the problem. But it has this tendency, a peculiar tendency to stand under a problem. It will never understand a problem. Okay, this is, I have to do this. No. Why is there these questions? I tell you, we remove it from the dictionary, life will be 80% better, if not 100%. Why is this happening to me? How did this happen to me? Remove this how and why in your life. You remove this, you will have no problems in life. This happened, what should I do? Bas. So this unstable aspect of the mind is you need somebody to hold on to, dependent on anything. And these are the gems of the society. They can be at the highest level. Many of the people in the highest positions of the country belong to this category. Unstable mind. They need constantly people supporting. If the support is not there, they are off. They need to enhance the thought in people's mind that I am good. Krishna never told that I am a realized person, I am a saint. Krishna never told. Who is a Avatara Purusha? Majority of the saints and spiritual practitioners who have reached the highest state never opened their mouth and said, this is my position and I am here. बड़े बढ़ाई ना करे, बड़े न बोले बोल, हीरा मुख से ना कहे, लाख हमारा मोल. Why do you? So this instability is there. One king was there, Nero, and this Nero burnt the whole Rome because he couldn't get a tune properly. He forgot what his sad tune was, which he played months ago, and he wanted to rekindle that emotion to bring that tune. So what he did, he went to the balcony and burnt the whole Rome. So children and ladies are running around, the whole house is burnt and they are crying, help, help. And in all that cry, he is trying to get that emotion of sadness, and then he started playing the fiddle. So the quotation is, Nero fiddled while Rome burnt. Unstable mind, constant support of people around you. Second state, this is also common with everybody, is called the unsettling mind, the irritable mind. The irritable mind is, it is normal, it is just the cone is lying on the surface, it is normal. When somebody hits it, it starts moving, oscillating. The hit is hardly for a second. The oscillation, depending on the surface, supposing it's a glass surface, the oscillation may go on for 2 to 3 minutes. 90% of the population belong to this category, the quality of the mind. Somebody said something, somebody did something X amount of years back. One knock to your personality. It's been 5 years, 1 year, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 80 years. I have seen personalities still oscillating from that one hit. The person who came, that person gave a hit and walked off. That's that person's job done. And the whole life is spent on this oscillation of why and how. 90%. You know what, sir? I am very sad. Actual case. Why are you sad? I lost my son. I'm so sorry. So sorry. How did this happen? Young boy, 7-year-old, he met with an accident, sir. He was swimming and then he drowned and he died. Very, very bad. I'm so sorry for your loss. So sorry. He's talking. Suddenly there is this man walking from that lady's behind. I said, sir, please explain something to my mom. She's been crying like this for so many years now. So I did not know. So I looked at the lady and said, when did this happen? She said, this happened 35 years back. So 35 years back, you lost your son. After that, then I gave birth to 2 other sons. Now they are very happy. They are married. They have got children, profession, everything. And I'm staying with them only. And you are not happy. No, sir. Because I am always remembering that. So whatever these children provide me, I am not bothered because the mind is always there. How selfish can a person be? Because there are other children giving you happiness with the children, with grandchildren and everything. And yet the mind goes to where it doesn't need to go. This is unstable. Not unstable, sorry, irritable. You do something and you go on getting irritated. This is the second stage. Majority of people belong to this. The other minority belong to that. Unstable mind. Last, hardly anybody belongs to this. Therefore, it is not fit in a category. It is just a man is like this, a woman is like this. That's it. That's because it's a minority, just one person probably, if there are there. This is called perfect, a perfect mind. It is sitting on the base. The cone is sitting on the base like this, tapering to an end. It doesn't need anything external to hold it still. It doesn't need the world around to make it happy. It is happy, it is contented, it is satisfied on its own base. Whole life, this person thinks, my hand will never go like this. You know what is this? Begging. My hand will never go like this. Please help me when I'm physically down. Please help me when I'm financially down. Please help me. I find most of these characters also. Help me because I'm not getting enough emotions. So they literally have a bhikka katora in their hand, running behind their own relationships. Please look at me, I am alive. I have done so much, I have not got anything. Please, with the same katora, I want to learn more, listen more to people around. About this knowledge, about any knowledge, learning more. But every time, the attitude of begging. And the Shastras say, you have to be independent of anything and everything. Learn the Bhagavad Gita, but don't say this is what is said in the Gita, therefore I will do it. If you understand it perfectly, go. Otherwise, get out of it. Doesn't matter. Use your own head. This is the stability of this person's mind. Completely stable. Intellect is clear and aware of what needs to be done in life. A beautiful example of a stable mind is the village preacher. There's a poem, so you can go through Google and find out. This village preacher is trying to do good to everybody. All the people he's trying to. One vagabond comes to his house and the vagabond is listening, he's talking. You know, I was once a very rich man and I gambled here and I gambled, and that person I know, this celebrity I know, and he just kept on listening to that. Knowing that all that is wrong. He's saying false, but just an encouragement. Acha, really? Huh? Very good, very good. And that fellow went. Then a beggar came, he started talking about it. So he was admonished about why not work. Small children used to come and pick his gown and play with him, and he used to play with them. There were these people who were critics, and they would come to put him down. They would come to the church to put him down, saying he's bad. And those people who came to criticize him would stay to pray. That was the level of this village preacher. And how did he achieve this level? If you go through this poem, there are these last wonderful 8 to 10 lines. All his life, his heart, his love, his griefs were given to them. But his thoughts rest in heaven. For all the emotions which moves around in the valley, and a tall cliff rises above the clouds and only sees the sunlight. Similarly, this person, his intellect is bathed in the sunlight, the prakasha of the highest reality. His intellect is there, constant attunement to the highest parameters of life. And all his heart, all his emotions were for everybody around. When you deal with the world, deal with your heart. When you deal with yourself, deal with your head. You have to have the charitable disposition to do things. The third state, when you reach, so now here, you don't look around in spirituality and say, now I know you are the first stage. Don't do that to people around you. Majority of people go into their families and say, my husband is the first stage, my wife is the second stage. That means you are yourself in the first stage. Don't look here. The idea should be which stage I am. Oh yeah, I do get irritated when somebody says something and it lasts for not years, but at least a day, 2 days. I need to change that and come to this perfect stance where the mind is settled in its own center. Nobody to blame. There are no other disturbances in life, because the only paramount aspect in your life now is to change yourself to the better until you reach the highest. We'll continue next time. Oh.